Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third and final webinar of this Perkins Leadership Grant. If you've not previously joined us, I am Leslie Keeling Olson, and with me is Leisha Smith. We are both from Temple, Texas, which is a medium-sized community college in Temple, Texas. I know you are all probably here because of your interest in learning about 4P1 student placement, but just in case there are new individuals joining us for this webinar, we would like to share with you a little bit of the history for how we arrived at this Perkins Leadership Project. The vision for this project started when Temple College was awarded a state leadership project grant in 2015-2016. During that grant year, we developed a list of promising best practices and a catalog of performance improvement and evaluation plan ideas for 2P1 credential, certificate, or diploma, 3P1 student retention or transfer, and 4P1 student placement. Thus, our journey began to create a list of promising best practices and performance improvement or evaluation plans called PIPs catalogs for these core indicators. These two documents are now available on the Higher Education Coordinating Board's website. Additionally, they're available in your handout section of the webinar. In 2016-2017, we were awarded another state leadership grant to create regional partnerships and mentoring models. The hope is the models that were created under this grant will someday be implemented in a way that will make statewide mentoring and partnering available. This brief history lesson brings us to the grant we were awarded this year. Temple College was awarded a state leadership grant to provide webinars to capture and shell a wealth of information to assist you in improving your Perkins Core Indicator statistics for 2P1, credential, certificate, or diploma, 3P1, student retention or transfer, and 4P1, student placement. The purpose for this grant is to preserve valuable Perkins knowledge from numerous past and present Perkins-based basic grant directors. Our overarching goal is to provide new directors an awareness of the requirements of each of the core indicators that determine our Perkins funding. Thus, this grant was written and implemented with the purpose of reaching the greatest number of Perkins stakeholders throughout the state of Texas in the most productive and wide-reaching format we could find in order to provide very intentional, intensive, and involved training focusing on these specific Perkins core indicators. That being said, let's begin our process for discussing the P's of placement, which will hopefully help all of us better understand 4P1. In each of the webinars, we hyper-focus specifically on the core indicator covered in the webinar, so today's discussion will focus solely on 4P1 student placement. I agree, it's difficult to achieve placement without retention and completion, but placement is really the reason we are teaching and working with career and technical education, CTE students. We want to see students find a similar purpose and passion for our CTE fields that we have. As such, we hope they will come to know, respect, and love their respective fields. As we have developed these webinars, we try to examine the topics and evaluate the issues from both a senior Perkins perspective and also from the viewpoint of someone who might be brand new to Perkins. That being said, we will approach 4P1 by looking at the P's of placement, by first examining what placement is, working to understand perplexing data, looking at how we promote student placement, and discussing who needs to participate and locating students by sheer perseverance. Leisha will provide us an instruction for some of our webinar features and introduce you to our webinar panelist.
Thank you, Leslie. I'll be glad to explain how we plan to poll the audience throughout the presentation. Throughout this webinar, we will insert different polls for you to answer. When a poll pops up, click on or enter the answer that best represents your thoughts or what answer you think would be the majority voice for your institution. Please bear with us during these polls as we pause and wait for everyone to answer. It takes a few minutes for us to release the poll results so you can see them. The pictures depicted here provide you examples of the polling process. On the left, we have provided you a sample question that you will not answer. On the right, there is a sample result. Now we will launch our first two polls so we can get a better understanding of our audience and participants in this webinar. The first question includes 3 possible answers. Poll question number 1. Is this your first live webinar with us, or did you participate in the 2P1 or 3P1 webinars?
Before we close out the polls, we usually wait for the bulk of the audience to answer, and about 92% of our audience have answered. So we'll go ahead and close the poll, and we'll share with you the results. It looks like 61% of y'all, this is your first time with us, and we'd like to welcome you again. 35 of y'all have been with us before, and we'd like to welcome you back. And another 4% have listened to other webinars on our recordings.
The second poll question is a repeat from the first two webinars, but we think it is an important one also. What is your Perkins experience?
We currently have about 88% of our audience that have voted. We have 25 people currently with us right now, and I'm going to go ahead and close this one out so that you can see it. It's always interesting to see kind of the differences. For those of y'all that are less than 1 year, I think you may have heard me say this before, or even less than a couple of years, but welcome to the Perkins family.
Additionally, we found out that many of you have questions at the end of the webinar, so if you do, please stay online, and at the end of the presentation, we will provide you answers or find you answers to your questions. Notice that on the GoToWebinar menu floating on your screen, there is an area to ask questions. You may have to click on the Expand Collapse button to be able to see the question text box. Please note that Leslie and I use the same screen during the presentation, so we will not be able to answer questions during the presentation, but we will make sure we answer all of your questions at the end. Now I would like to tell you how we selected our webinar leaders, and I'll introduce you to them. The first step in the process of selecting our webinar leaders was culling through the data to identify colleges that had successfully met the state performance target for the last 5 years. Once the schools were identified, we started soliciting volunteers from these institutions to act as Perkins experts. Our primary goal was to select leaders and experts in the field whose colleges had attained success statistically, but we also wanted the people representing their campuses to come from different size schools as well as different regions from the state. We then started reaching out to individuals who we thought could help the audience understand 4P1. Now that you know how these individuals were selected, I'd like to introduce the 4P1 webinar leaders. The Perkins Basic Grant Directors who were selected based upon their experience are Dr. Catherine O'Brien, who is representing Alvin College, and Ms. Michelle Freeman, who represents Tyler Junior College. Leslie refers to these people as seasoned professionals. The next Perkins Basic Grant Director was selected based on her college's history of both meeting and exceeding the state targets at Galveston College, and she is Ms. Vera Lewis Jasper. To get the discussion started, I'm going to pass the microphone to Dr. Olson, who will introduce us to the world of 4P1 student placement.
One of my favorite aspects of being a faculty member at Temple College is watching students transition from student into criminal justice practitioner. I'm an officer with the Robinson Police Department, and I still wear my badge and uniform with significant pride. I always look forward to seeing my students walk around with that same pride in both their uniform and their accomplishments in pursuing their passion. To put it into the proper Perkins perspective, one of my favorite things is watching students find placement in their respective CTE field. 4P1 is defined in the Perkins Basic Grant Request for Applications, RFA, and in your institution's Perkins Basic Grant web portal. In the slide, I have copied the definitions exactly how they look in both areas. The top picture is found in Appendix F of the RFA, and the bottom picture depicts how it will look in your web portal. It is interesting to note that most people will narrow placement to be in the career fields. However, if you look closely at the definition, you will see that military service or apprenticeship programs are included as an aspect of placement. 4P1 placement is the final core indicator when an institution must attain success in order to receive reallocation dollars. The slide shows the state performance numbers and how they have trended from 2008 to 2016. Please note that the numbers are in green because the state performance targets have been met. In other words, collectively, our state performance targets have all met 90% of the target for the specified year. Overall, Perkins directors throughout the state of Texas demonstrate better performance on placement than we do on completion and retention. However, hitting the state target does not mean we can rest on our laurels. Please note, we have never fully achieved the target. Statewide performance has always been in between 90% and the actual target. Are there any reasons we should be concerned? Yes. 40% of institutions have not met the actual target and are close to going below the 90%. There is always room for improvement. Before I pass the mic, please take a minute and answer the following poll. Does your institution struggle with placement? We have about 85% of our members that have voted, and we now have 27 people participating. So we're going to go ahead and close out this poll. It closed out with 89% people voting, and we'll share it with you now. And you can see that 54% feel that they do struggle, 29 said no, but 17 are a little unsure. I will pass the microphone to Dr. Catherine O'Brien to help us understand the perplexities of the data.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Hi, I'm Catherine O'Brien. I am a retired Associate Vice Chancellor who spent 34 years in community colleges. I worked as a professor for 20 years and spent 14 years in administration. 8 of those years were spent working on the Perkins Basic Grant. To improve the data, you need to focus on your institution's data. Your best institutional source is the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board's website that is highlighted at the bottom of the slide. I'm showing you a different site from the one that was shown in the previous 2 webinars. If you have an opportunity, go back and review those webinars as a way of exploring the data sources that are at your fingertips, thanks to the Coordinating Board staff. I also recommend that you identify the person or persons or office within your institution that are responsible for submitting the CBM reports to the Coordinating Board. That person could be your institutional effectiveness office, or it could be someone in the registrar's office. You should review your data internally with this individual annually. Locate your institution from the drop-down menu and then click View PDF button, and it will take you to your annual Perkins report, and the cover of that is shown on the next slide. As you scroll down through this report, you can view all of your Perkins measures for 3 running years. For example, we have previously viewed 2P1 and 3P1, and today we're focusing on 4P1. As you look through the data sources used by the Coordinating Board, you will see some redundancy. That is, the same data sources are used to address different Perkins measures. Perplexed? Bear with me and we will try to clarify this for you. Next slide. When you are reviewing data, remember that the data is several years old. For example, your 2014-2015 data highlighted at the top of the chart actually came from 2013-2014 CBM reports indicated at the bottom under sources. If you notice that you are in the red for 1 year and in the green the next, consider reviewing your data and your strategies across those several years to see what you may have done that made a difference. And rather than change your strategies every year, consider holding them steady for a few years to see what is working and what isn't. If you're new to Perkins and someone else worked on the grants previously, look around for those older versions at your institution, or ask the Coordinating Board if they could share older versions of your institution's grants with you. Let's look at the data sources mentioned earlier. CBM 001, CBM 002, CBM 009, CBM 00M, and CB 116 were used to calculate 2P1 Perkins measure, and these same reports were used to calculate 3P1's Perkins measures. Now, these 5 reports, along with UI wage records, are being used to calculate Perkins measures for P1. Perplexed? Well, the same data can be used for different calculations. In 2P1, the Coordinating Board looks for students who have completed a credential. In 3P1, they are looking for students who were retained at your institution or are transferred to another institution. And in 4P1, they're looking for students who have left your institution and entered the workplace, the military, or an apprenticeship program. They all begin by looking to see who is in your programs. Next slide. The definitions for the CBM reports can be found in the CBM reporting manuals. This is a very useful resource for learning what goes into the data and what is submitted to the coordinating board. Next slide. The CBM 001 captures all of the students in the classes on the official census date and tracks them to completion. There are different names for this process within your institutions. It may be called the official class roll, the 12th day roll, or simply the census date. This is an extremely important date for your technical faculty to learn and remember. You need a good solid report of all the students who are enrolled in your programs on this date. This is the initial data that is used for your cohort. Next slide. CBM 002 reports any students who have attempted credit hours in approved courses on the census date. We cannot emphasize enough how important it is for your institution to have the right courses in their inventory, the college catalog, and in the technical outline for your program. For example, if a course has been archived by the coordinating board, you will not be funded for teaching that course. You're giving it away. A good curriculum process with approved WECM courses is important to achieve good Perkins measures. If you have heard the statement, don't drop the students before the census date, this is the reason. You want an accurate count of who is in your programs from the beginning. So if a student is in that CBM 001 report and now in this CBM 002 report, then that is the student that is going to be tracked either to completion or into the workplace. If students want to explore your technical programs by taking a course or two with no intention of ever completing a degree or certificate, you must understand that this will have an effect on your program. They are still going to be tracked. This is something that you probably need to discuss with your advising offices. Next slide. The CBM 009 tracks the awards, that is the degrees and the certificates. For Perkins purposes and our discussion, these are level 1 certificates, level 2 certificates, and the Associate of Applied Science degrees. Your institution can wait until student completes an AAS degree and then look back to see what other awards they may have completed. A level 1 certificate, for example. However, it is to your advantage to give the students the award as they receive them and not wait until and award them all at once. You can use your Perkins funds to hire someone as a degree auditor for your technical degrees and certificates, and then this way they can be awarded as they are being achieved. I want to call your attention to a commonly used term, clearinghouse. This is where you need to go to look for your approved programs. If you're new to your position, you need to familiarize yourself with the clearinghouse. And then you need to compare the clearinghouse with what was submitted by your institution through the electronic submissions process. The clearinghouse is a common term for the degree program awards webpage. The clearinghouse is the website where you will find your program awards for the institution. This is the page that your registrars actually use for reporting awards also. You may want to save this link to your favorites. We have put the live link there at the bottom of the page. And here's an example of a program from the clearinghouse. You simply click on the name of your institution from the drop-down menu. You can type in this program SIP, or you can type in the program name. If you want to see everything from your institution, just enter the institution name only. If you want to see what other institutions are using, you could use just the SIP code and it would bring up all of those in the state. One additional bit of information about this perplexing data is the term tech prep. The term is an antiquated term and is no longer being used. For years, these were the 4+2 or 2+2 alignments between secondary and post-secondary technical programs through which high school courses were awarded college or articulated into college credit. While the term tech prep has gone away, the concept of aligning secondary to the more recent secondary endorsements with post-secondary CTE programs has not gone away. Recall that a previous slide that I recommended, that you compare your programs in your program with what is submitted or what is found in the clearinghouse with what is submitted in through electronic submissions. This is the page where you go to submit courses for electronic submissions. I think our arrows are a little bit off. It should be pointing to the inventory, access, and web and update. And then within that paragraph, you will see electronic submissions. We've provided you with the live link at the bottom of this slide, and I would add this to my webpage favorites also. Next slide. Returning to our discussion of the CBM reports, CBM OOM reports the Occupational Skills Achievement Awards. These were formerly called Marketable Skills Achievement Awards, and data from these reports is used in 4P1. These awards are too short to qualify as certificate programs in the coordinating board inventory. Therefore, you need to decide if these programs are worth the time and effort for your registrar's office to track, or if these could be a small departmental award that creates a milestone for students and encourages them to pursue their level 1 certificate or degree. In the same way that Tech Prep has gone by way of the dodo, the Marketable Skills Achievement Awards is a term that has disappeared and has now been replaced with Occupational Skills Achievement Awards. Next slide. The reason for the disappearance of Marketable Skills Achievement Awards is because marketable skills is the third goal in the Texas Higher Education Strategic Plan, better known as 60 by 30 TEX. And by 2020, your institutions will have to begin reporting those marketable skills to the coordinating board. Next slide. Finally, the CBM 116 is a process instead of a report. Since 2005-2006, the Automated Student and Adult Learner Follow-Up System attempts to track students who attend Texas public community and technical colleges after they leave your institution. The coordinating board matches Social Security numbers of the students with Texas Workforce Commission unemployment insurance wage records, with federal databases of civil employees, and the Higher Education Enrollment Database. Incarcerated students and students with invalid Social Security numbers are excluded from the cohort. This CBM 116 report is an opportunity for you to locate and identify missing students in your data. It is worth your time and effort to spend looking for them. Next slide. The following information is very important in understanding the data. The students are not tracked across the years as you might think when traditionally tracking a cohort, but the students are only tracked for a single Perkins year. If you have a cohort of students at your institution who take 1 year to complete a certificate program, you probably track the student not for just that 1 year, but until they have actually completed the award. However, in 2P1, 3P1, and 4P1, the cohort of students called the concentrators are tracked for that year only. If they leave the institution temporarily and come back at a future date, they are in a new cohort. The coordinating board tracks the number of students who enrolled in the fall and the courses they took as reported in CBM 001 and 002. They account for the students who graduated using CBM 009 and CBM 00M. And for the students who left for employment, the students are tracked with the UI wage data. And for students who simply seem to disappear, the CBM 116 report is a way of finding those students again. 4P1 is looking for your graduates in the workplace, in the military, or in an apprenticeship program. I would like to thank Dr. Keeling Olson for the opportunity to participate in these webinars and to introduce my colleague, Michelle Freeman from Tyler College. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Freeman, and I work for Tyler Junior College. With 14 years experience working in a community college and with Perkins, I have been a part of many students' journey from start to finish. There is always that satisfaction that you get when a student contacts you after graduation and enthusiastically tells you that they have landed their dream job and thanks you for being part of their journey. We all know that the student is the one that should pat themselves on the back for their accomplishments, but as a college, there are some important things that we do to help them along the way. In the next few slides, I'm going to share some ideas that TJC is doing to help promote student placement. No matter where the student is in the process of finding a career, Career Services provides resources to assist with career planning and preparation. Some examples of services that TJC Career Services provides our students are creating an individualized career development plan, identifying what the student needs to do to be marketable when they graduate, hosting resume writing workshops, holding mock interviews with the student, and providing tips for networking. We also have Apache Jobs, which is an online job board that allows employers to post position openings for TJC students and alumni. Apache Jobs also allows the student to create an e-portfolio and upload their resume so employers can view and recruit. Question: how can a Career Services office utilize Perkins funding? Funding can be used to purchase Career Services software programs, career resource materials, and career readiness workshops. To help promote student placement within individual programs, we have several activities that include discipline-specific job fairs, program-specific luncheons that is a greet and meet format for students and industry members. This activity also allows industry members to advise of job openings so students close to graduating are aware and can apply. We also make it a point to include the students who are in external learning courses so they have the opportunity to meet industry members within their field as well. Industry will reach out to our program department chairs so they may relay to the student any job openings that are available. In some cases, the department chairs will have industry come in and recruit in class. Most of our vocational trade programs will place students in co-ops that will eventually lead to student placement after graduation. Please take note, with students being placed in a co-op, there is a chance that you do lose that student if they are offered a job before graduating. Typically, students do graduate and are often hired full-time. Completion of the program is always encouraged by our faculty. Having a faculty member involved in a professional organization related to what they are teaching will lead to industry relationships that may benefit the student. A personal relationship between faculty and members within the organization allows notification of job openings that will be passed along to the faculty member and then passed to the student. Also, having good industry representatives on your advisory committee is critical. A good advisory committee member is as effective to the task in educating and preparing students as being productive in the workforce as much as the faculty in college. And as we are getting closer to being held accountable in the importance of marketable skills, let's answer the following poll question. How much of an impact does marketable skills play in the success of making your students employable?
We now have about 31 members in our audience, but only 68 have voted for, so I'm going to wait just a couple more seconds and then release the responses to you. We have 74 people that have, or 77% that have voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out so that we can move on, and I'll share it with you. You can see that 63% of the individuals of our 77% of our audience believe that it is has significant impact.
Thank you, Leslie. Now I would like to hand the presentation over to Vera Lewis Jasper from Galveston College.
Thank you, Michelle. Good afternoon. I'm Vera Lewis Jasper, Dean for Technical and Workforce Programs at Galveston College. I've been with Galveston College for 7 years, and I have over 18 years of higher education experience. We feel effective academic advising and career advising and fostering success are integral parts to student success. Academic advising provides students with a clear pathway for successful and timely completion of their academic goals through either degrees or certificate programs. Career advising provides information on a wide variety of employment opportunities available to the student. Participation is the action of taking part in something. Active participation by our faculty, staff, students, the community have contributed to the successful placement of our students. Next slide, please. Given their regular interaction with students, content knowledge, professional background, and community contacts, faculty members are particularly effective career advisors because of their continuous communication with employers. Faculty members encourage students to consider the career options available within their field and support efforts to engage students from underrepresented minorities. Faculty is intentional about creating opportunities for mentoring relationships to occur. While mentorship can take on many different forms, our faculty members are engaging students in well-situated opportunities to provide exceptional mentoring and transitioning into the workplace. For example, our nuclear medicine faculty requires students to submit entries into the Society for Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging annual meeting. This competition allows the students to interact with physicians, technologists, pharmacists, veterinarians, and commercial vendors, and is a great venue for career networking. Our welding, electrical, and HVAC faculty incorporate real-life work skills into their curriculum. Many of our programs here at Galveston College are block scheduled. This allows a student to become employable with national certifications in 16 weeks. Students in welding are required to clock in and clock out in the morning and for breaks and at the end of class. This professional practice gives the students a sense of what they can expect in the workplace. Other programs have incorporated Bring Your A Game to Work into their curriculum. This work ethic program focuses on foundational skills such as how to get along at work with others, showing up for work, resolving conflict, taking directions, or expressing professionalism. These soft skills are what's really needed in the workplace. Next slide. To assist students with the admission and onboarding process, student success advisors are utilized at both our main campus and at our Applied Technology Center. Student success advisors assist students with completing all the steps for college and program admission, scheduling them for and interpreting TSI scores, and helping students complete required financial aid applications and degree planning and class selection. In addition, student success advisors guide students through the various college policies and procedures they may encounter while taking classes. This may include understanding the developmental education cycle and applying for graduation. The student success advisors manage what we have here as the early alert system. It is used by faculty to notify advisors when students have excessive absences or are falling behind academically. Advisors are able to utilize a number of interventions, including referrals to the tutoring center, to help the student get back on track. To provide, again, that much needed soft skills training, student success advisors also coordinate a series of student success workshops. They are offered monthly. These sessions not only focus on areas of the college success, like safe behaviors and study skills, but also start to introduce students to concepts of professionalism. Next. Once students establish academic goals, with the student success advisor, the career navigator steps in to help them prepare for entry into the workplace. The career navigator utilizes career exploration and preparedness software, Career Coach, to assist students through this process. Career Coach allows the students to use the O-Net interest inventory, as well as browse careers and apply for jobs. In addition, resume templates are available for the students' use. In addition to resume writing, the Career Navigator conducts mock interviews with students to prepare them for interviews and hiring events. Students are also given assistance in reviewing potential employers' websites and developing questions to be asked during the interview. The Career Navigator also introduces students to GradCast, which connects graduates to employers associated with their area of study. Upon graduation, students are able to send up to 100 resumes to employers in the GradCast database and are given lifetime access to the employer list as long as their profiles remain active. The Career Navigator also plans periodic industry-focused field trips for students. For example, when our Career Navigator learned of a welding student who was interested in using welding to create art, she organized a local field trip to a metalworks company that specialized in historical projects, as well as using welding to make commissioned art projects. Another priority of our Career Navigator is networking and maintaining relationships with potential employers. We recognize the critical impact that a robust and active advisory committee can make in preparing students for today's workforce. Each of our advisory committees ensure our programs maintain the level of quality coveted by both students and employers. Galveston College values the expert advice and contributions that individual committee members make with regard to curriculum, equipment and/or technology, internships, and ultimately job opportunities. Students are included in our advisory committee meetings. This can be beneficial to both the committee members and the students. At a recent electronics advisory committee meeting, one of the students met an advisory member. This conversation led to a facility tour, which led to an interview, which led to a job offer. Strong advisory committees are key to student placement. Student success seminars are, for us, a one-of-a-kind experience that will introduce tools and resources needed for students to be successful. In 2016, we introduced a series of workshops geared to success in the workplace. Some of the titles were Dealing with the Past While Working Towards the Future, How to Handle Past Challenges While Applying for Jobs, Surfing Your Way into a New Career, Using the Internet to Search for Jobs, Social Media Do's and Don'ts, and How to Manage Your Social Media While Job Hunting, and then linking to LinkedIn. and using LinkedIn to break into your industry. We also assist students with job listings, internships, and mock interviews. We find that students require additional support outside the classroom, and many don't have the means to even attend a job interview. We partner with several community associations to help our students through the interview process. Some of them are listed here. Catholic Charities provides assistance with proper interview attire, transportation via gas cards, and even, in some cases, living expenses. The Moody Methodist Church provides meals and transportation assistance. SEER Jobs for Progress provides students funding for not only classes, but gas cards to get to and from interviews and pre-interview prep. Workforce Solution provides funding for student success seminars, and including they worked with us and our students on how to set up your LinkedIn account. Many of these agencies also serve as panelists for our mock interviews. We have found that the wraparound services are a key part of the success and placement of Galveston College students. I will now turn the mic over to Leslie.
The reality is that locating students once they have left our colleges in order to reflect them on the placement report for 4P1 takes great acts of perseverance. In order to accomplish this task, I will explain the process for looking for the students on the CBM 116 follow-up report. This report provides you options that can help with placement. I will also provide you some suggestions for companies who can assist you for a fee. I will then discuss how you can locate your students for free on social media sites. Finally, I'll review the best practices for 4P1. At Temple College, each of our department chairs receives a list of their specific majors at the beginning of each semester. These department chairs, through their teaching, advising, and interaction with these students, usually develop a rapport with these students. When they receive the list of missing students on the CBM 116, the CTE department chair will sometimes have information or knowledge about what is going on in the student's life after they have left Temple College. Because of this ongoing communication, department chairs will have methods of contacting the students and finding out the information necessary for the CBM 116. Many would argue that these handful of students are not worth the effort, but these missing students could make the difference in meeting 90% of the target or being below the 90% and writing a very specific and thorough performance improvement and evaluation plan designed to improve your data. Please take a moment and tell us about your CBM 116 follow-up. We still have about 31% of the audience with us, and right now about 65 have voted.
31 people, not 31%.
77 of the 31 participants have voted, and so we'll go ahead and close out this poll. A lot of you have indicated that you're not sure about your CBM 116 follow-up report. So as Catherine previously alluded to, I encourage you to check with your institutional effectiveness office. Through Chafke and previous leadership grants, numerous Perkins Basic Grant Directors have found resources to assist with placement improvement. The next few slides will give you some information about GradCast, EMSI, and social media. Vera told you some about GradCast, so we have included their contact information here for you. Additionally, Bill Brooks with GradCast sent us an overview of the program, which we have added to your document folders in this webinar. Please don't hesitate to contact him if you're interested in getting some additional information or quote from GradCast for your placement. You have heard us allude to Career Coach, and many of us use different names for this service. Before I give you the contact information for Career Coach, or what is also known as EMSI, I want to highlight some additional features for you. EMSI, aka Career Coach, will develop a unique website and career coach for your institution. As previously explained, there's a resume builder to the system, but you can also see the annual job openings as represented in this slide. Students can also click on live job postings to check for opportunities in the area or outside the area. This information can be shared through the CTE department, through career services, or through other student communications. If you're interested in EMSI, which we also call Career Coach, you can find them through the link listed at the bottom of this page. Many institutions utilize social media platforms to assist with both program awareness and alumni tracking. Community college alumni are digitally connected and will connect or identify themselves as alumni, which can be used as an advantage when trying to locate a graduate for one of your follow-up reports. For our final poll question, what services does your institution use to assist with placement? With 71% voting, we'll go ahead and close out. And you can see that it's kind of a multifaceted area. Hopefully you were able to see that on this poll. You could pick different options. And I'm sure later some of us may seek out those that answered something other than what's listed above, because there might be additional opportunities for placement. As previously alluded to, we determined a set of best practices in 2015-2016 for 2P1, 3P1, and 4P1. Although many of these promising best practices have been explained by our webinar panelists today, I hope you see that the dominant trend starts with strong advisory boards, connection points to establish communication with graduates, and robust counseling services to support the CTE students with placement.
Thank you for joining us today. We would like to end this webinar by giving thanks to the coordinating board for funding this project, and we'd like to offer our thanks to our webinar panelists, Dr. Catherine O'Brien, Ms. Michelle Freeman, Ms. Vera Lewis Jasper, and Dr. Leslie Killing Olson. Kudos to all of you. We hope this webinar provided you with some valuable insight, information, or ideas to consider when it comes to 4P1. Here is our contact information. If you have any questions that you would like to email to us individually, please feel free to do so. If you do not have any questions, please feel free to close out of this webinar now. If you have questions you would like answered, please post them now. Have a great week. We hope some of you post some questions so that we can start answering them.